Cobra Commander Reborn, and this time he's decked out in his battle armor and ready to take on some Joes and Serpentor. Can his head be swapped out to give him a Fred appearance from the comics? Is he a worthy update to the original, and how does he compare? Can other Cobra Commander heads be used? We'll find out all this and more in this week's Cobra Commander Spotlight, only at Heroic Nonsense. Let's go. So full disclosure, this was my Cobra Commander growing up. I missed the boat on the first two Cobra Commander figures back in the day, as I only really got into G.I. Joe right around this time, so I truly have a soft spot for this particular version, as much as I do love the original in all its iterations. And as a big fan of the 87 Commander, I have to say that I think Hasbro did an incredible job on this classified version. We're going to break it all down in this week's Spotlight: articulation, accessories, comparisons with previous versions, and of course some killer display ideas. So before Cobra Commander makes it personal and throws us into the brig, let's get right into it. Here he is, and wow, does he look perfect. I mean, every part of this Cobra Commander, from his sculpt to his paint job and his overall appearance, is just amazing. I was so excited to get this guy when they announced him, and he was definitely worth the wait. Yes, there are some minor differences in the design on the suit, but not something you would notice unless you compare to the original 87 version, which we will do a bit later in this spotlight. I guess it would have been nice to have a removable helmet as well, but definitely not a deal breaker. I'm not even sure which head would have been best, a Fred version from the comics, the ponytail version, or a full-on snake head like the Once a Man figure, which I never got. Let me know what you would have chosen in the comments section. This figure truly has it all, and I'm sure some of you already noticed that you can even place him into the exact same pose as the image on the original card back. Every part of Cobra Commander in this form pops, and I'm extremely impressed with the paint applications, both the silver and blue, though I feel the silver may eventually start wearing through. His laser is based off of the original, and this time can be placed in his holster, though it does seem a bit big. Although mostly 3 colors only, with a bit of red here and there, the shiny silver more than compensates for the limited palette, as do the number of details molded into the suit. I also appreciate that the armor looks realistic but not bulky, lending itself to a very sleek looking figure, especially when you add in the backpack, which can double as a jetpack. As for the head sculpt, like the rest of the figure, it really is perfect. The helmet is exactly what I remembered from the original, and the very small part of his face that does make its way through is quite amazingly detailed. And when you're ready to shed your cover, you can switch to the Snake Man version of good old Cobra Commander. Did you catch it? It's a slight change but makes all the difference, especially if you want to bring to life the post-87 movie version of CC. He doesn't come with as many unique accessories, though the ones he does come with are iconic, including updated replicas of his laser pistol and backpack, Serpy in his iguana form from the cartoon, and his finger-pointing hand to recreate the original card back image. As for his backpack, this one comes with 2 small holes that you can see here, which ultimately allow you to take some of your laser blast effects from other classified figures and use them to create a thruster effect, which actually looks quite cool, though they are a bit finicky to keep in. And of course, we have to spotlight Serpentor himself in his iguana form as payback for turning Cobra Commander into a snake back at Cobraaaa. I love the detail Hasbro puts into their animals, with this one being no exception. This guy can totally be used as a pet for Tiger Force with that amazing paint detail. And the great thing is, this lizard can also double as a second pet for Naga Hide as seen in Operation Dragonfire, where it serves as a basis for Serpentor's transformation. It even has walking action with movable limbs. All in all, a great little addition to an already incredible figure, especially for those feeling a bit nostalgic for the original G.I. Joe cartoon. As for posability, he's not the easiest to balance, but you can get him into a pretty nice walking pose. And even better if you want to get him taking off using his backpack. For a really great action shot, check out my recreation of the G.I. Joe movie scene with Cobra Commander in his original uniform taking flight in my Cobra Claw review, link here and below. If you do want to get him in a more running type pose, you'll likely need to use a stand as I did here, since I couldn't make him balance while also giving him a realistic look. Overall, a great figure that I totally recommend getting, even if you haven't really started collecting G.I. Joe classified figures in full yet. This is a great homage to the original that will look amazing on anyone's shelf, especially when displayed in his iconic toy pose. So I didn't go crazy on comparisons here, since to be honest, this Cobra Commander is so unique and there aren't really many other meaningful ones at this point. I do love this display idea though, if you want a bit more flair and Shakespearean look to your collection. The most appropriate comparison is of course Cobra Commander versus Cobra Commander, and I have to say I really like these two next to each other. A hooded version would round this out nicely though, and I heard some rumors that it's still a possibility, so fingers crossed. If you're wondering how these guys would look with different CC heads, then look no further. Not my favorite with the battle armor head on the original body, though it does still work. I think it's because Cobra Commander in this case just works with a more streamlined mask to match his sculpt and uniform. I do kinda like the reciprocal version of the Commander's original mask on his battle armor suit. I actually feel it kinda works well. What do you guys think? Of course, if you had the once a man version, which we don't, that would make for an awesome swap as well. Now this is the one I assume most were waiting for, Classified Cobra Commander versus the original from 1987. How cool is this? I really can't believe I kept track of all his original pieces, including the hose. Generally, I think they captured the original look perfectly with some minor classified updates, which is par for the course. While on first glance they may seem identical, there are a ton of minor updates to the armor design, the most apparent being around the chest and leg areas. The blue also seems slightly darker but not too far off and totally works for this updated version. They also really kept to the original gun design, which is nice. This angle gives you a good shot showcasing the more angular look of Cobra Commander's original body armor, probably most evident in the lower legs. Perhaps I'll update this for the retro line. The backpack is pretty much the same with only a few minor changes. Funny enough, up until now, I thought the backpack was supposed to face the opposite direction. I think where they really knocked it out of the park is around the head, which I reckon is almost identical, and even adding some color to the Cobra symbol. You can also see a lot of the differences in the chest area, with the original having a bit less plating and also having a more wing design with circular bottom. I personally love this classified version, and if I didn't have the original, would not have noticed all these minor updates. What do you guys think? Does a slightly different take on the armor bug you, or is this a win? Let the community know in the comments. And just for a bit of fun, the 25th anniversary version of Battle Armor Cobra Commander, which the classified version interestingly also borrows some design cues from. Can you spot them? The one thing the 25th version has over the classified version is the removable helmet, but don't worry, I come up with an interesting workaround for that in the next action shots section. In the end, I love the updated version of Cobra Commander in its battle armor and overjoyed that we now have this in our collection. I just noticed this now, but does anyone get a Stormtrooper design feel for the legs? Alright, let's have some fun starting with a quick preview of the new Cobra modular fortification that we just got in and I'll be reviewing shortly as the background. Not sure why, but I love the idea of displaying Cobra Commander here with the Crimson Twins. And how about those Trench Vipers? Man, those guys look cool with Cobra Commander walking by them as they guard the base. I suspect we'll have a lot of fun using this latest classified release for both displays and adventures with my kids. Recognize this scene? I'm going to heavily borrow display ideas from the very memorable Operation Dragonfire series of episodes where Cobra Commander gets his new armor. This is actually one of my favorite things to do, being able to take your figures and recreate those amazing memories from the shows, comics, and movies. And this series was a great one to pull ideas from, especially the huge range of characters they threw together for Operation Dragonfire. Recognize that guy in the back? That's my version of Scoop from the episode using an extra Duke's head we have lying around as well as the body of a retro Crimson Guard. And since Operation Dragonfire introduced us to Python Patrol as well, what better display idea than to have Cobra Commander surrounded by his new elite unit? I threw in some parts of the new modular fortification in the background, which worked great. Until we get a Python Patrol Cobra Commander, I'd say this could work perfectly as a display idea with your own Python Patrol collection. Side note, I love Python Patrol, and having the chance to bring them out for these shots was a total bonus for me as part of this spotlight. Look how great they all look together. As I mentioned earlier, this era of G.I. Joe was really my introduction to the toys, and because of that, this is the group of Vipers I felt works best for a display with Cobra Commander. Brings back all those amazing childhood memories. Now back to Operation Dragonfire, and a display idea inspired from the part where Cobra Commander finally gets his reckoning with Serpentor. With Nagahide offering up his pet iguana for Cobra Commander's upcoming experiment. An experiment which was a long time coming, payback for what Serpentor did to Cobra Commander in the 1987 movie. Which ultimately turns Serpentor into an iguana, even if only temporarily. And as promised, my version of Cobra Commander based off of the comic at the time where Fred Crimson Guard stepped in as the leader of Cobra pretending to be the commander himself. Anyone else remember that amazing run in the comics where the original commander returns dressed in his black hooded uniform? That story was so great. So great that I had to end with a few fun builds using parts of the modular base as the cargo hold of the ship, which ended up being the final resting place for Fred 7. And as some of you may recall, Dr. Mindbender and Raptor were also thrown into the landlocked freighter ship along with Zartan by the real Cobra Commander as punishment for their betrayal. With Cobra Commander and the Crimson Guard Freds looking over them. As we don't have a hooded Cobra Commander dressed in black yet, this version will have to do. And I have to give a shout out to Zazel from Zazel's Clubhouse with this final shot, who actually spliced the whole group of Operation Dragonfire episodes together into one convenient movie on his channel. Head over there to check out some Sergeant Slaughter fun, as well as some great G.I. Joe and wrestling inspired stories and toy reviews. It is truly awesome. Let's wrap this spotlight up of G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Commander with combat armor, as they call it here, with a look at his packaging. The highlight being this great comic book style piece of art inspired by the original 87 packaging art, as well as the back-of-pack diorama in the jungle somewhere, a clear homage to Operation Dragonfire, I suspect. So that's it, my friends. Hope you enjoyed this week's G.I. Joe Classified Special Mission Spotlight of the new Cobra Commander and his battle armor. A quick note, some of you wanted to know when the G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Rattler review is coming. I will 100% do one, but as it will be a surprise gift for the boys during the holiday season, we'll have to wait just a bit longer. But like a good little cobra snake, it'll slither out and hit hard when it's finally released. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Transform!